Bishop I.V. Hilliard has long been a prominent figure in American Christianity, particularly within the prosperity gospel movement. This controversial theology teaches that unwavering faith in God, along with generous giving, leads to material wealth, physical health, and overall life success. Hilliard has embraced this belief and built his ministry, New Light Christian Center, around it. To his followers, this message offers hope, a tangible reward system that connects spiritual devotion with real-world prosperity. The idea that God wants his people to live abundantly is at the core of prosperity gospel teachings. Financial increase, good health, business success, and personal achievement are all seen as evidence of God's favor. Bishop Hilliard often emphasizes that believers must sow into the ministry to reap these blessings, encouraging congregants to give sacrificially with the promise that God will return their generosity with abundance. However, this interpretation of the Bible has ignited a firestorm of debate. Critics from both within the Christian community and secular society argue that prosperity gospel theology distorts the essence of Christian doctrine. Instead of promoting humility, sacrifice, and spiritual growth, it appears to equate faith with financial status, suggesting that poverty or struggle could be signs of weak faith. This message, some argue, can lead believers down a dangerous path of disillusionment and spiritual confusion. One of the most notorious incidents in Bishop Hilliard's career occurred in 2013, when he sent a letter to his congregation and supporters asking for $52,000 to repair the blades of the church's helicopter. The letter promised donors divine blessings and accelerated favor from God in return for their financial contributions. The helicopter, Hilliard explained, was used for traveling between New Light Christian Center's various campuses across Texas. The backlash was immediate and intense. For many, the request for such a large sum of money for what was seen as a luxury item was deeply troubling. Critics questioned why a church, especially one that teaches service, modesty, and spiritual growth, would need a helicopter at all. The controversy sparked a national conversation about how church resources are being used, particularly within mega ministries that already generate millions in donations. Many viewed the helicopter as a symbol of excess, a tone-deaf request from a wealthy religious leader to a congregation likely filled with hardworking, financially burdened individuals. It also fueled accusations that the prosperity gospel preys on vulnerable people's hopes for a better life, encouraging them to give more, even when they can't afford it, in exchange for promises of divine reward. Despite the controversy, Hilliard stood by his decision, stating that the helicopter was essential for the efficiency of ministry operations. His supporters argued that the transportation tool allowed him to better manage the church's sprawling network and that giving to such a cause should remain a personal choice. Hilliard's opulent lifestyle has been a long-standing point of criticism. Like many leaders of mega churches, he owns multiple high-value properties, drives luxury vehicles, and enjoys the trappings of extreme wealth. Detractors argue that such wealth contradicts the teachings of Jesus Christ, who lived a life of humility and simplicity. They question whether Hilliard's material success sends the wrong message, especially to those in the congregation who are struggling to make ends meet. There's also a deeper issue of transparency. Critics ask, how are donations being used? Is the church operating with financial integrity? While no legal charges have been brought against Hilliard or his ministry, skeptics argue that the lack of oversight within many large religious organizations leaves too much room for potential misuse of funds. When members give out of faith and obedience, they trust their contributions are being stewarded wisely and ethically. Without clarity, that trust can erode. On the other hand, supporters of Bishop Hilliard argue that his wealth is a direct result of his faith and hard work, and that it's proof of God's blessings. To them, there's nothing shameful about prosperity. In fact, they believe that prosperity can be used to uplift communities, build ministries, and support charitable efforts. Hilliard has often stated that he uses his resources to further the church's work and help others. One particularly divisive aspect of Hilliard's ministry is its family-run structure. His wife, Bridget Hilliard, serves as co-pastor, and their daughter, Pastor Ivy Hilliard Jr., has taken on increasing leadership responsibilities over the years. While family involvement in ministry is not unusual, critics say this creates the appearance of nepotism. They argue that key positions should be awarded based on merit and calling, not bloodlines. This concern became more pronounced in 2017 when Bishop Hilliard officially stepped down as senior pastor and passed leadership to his daughter. While many praised the transition as smooth and spiritually grounded, others viewed it as the solidification of a dynasty rather than the elevation of a deserving spiritual leader chosen by the congregation. Supporters, however, say that the Hilliards' deep involvement in ministry is what makes them effective. They argue that the family shares a unified vision and commitment to service, and that spiritual legacy is not something to criticize but to honor. In their view, family leadership ensures continuity, vision, and trustworthiness, especially when the family has demonstrated lifelong dedication to the church. Financial management within New Light Christian Center has also been under scrutiny. With thousands of members and a wide-reaching media presence, the church brings in large amounts of money through tithes, offerings, and special donations. Critics have questioned whether enough safeguards are in place to ensure that these funds are managed responsibly. Allegations, though unproven, suggest that church funds may have been used to support a lavish lifestyle, including private jets, luxury real estate, and elite amenities. This has led many to call for greater transparency in mega ministries, arguing that donors have a right to know exactly how their money is being spent. Meanwhile, Hilliard's business-minded approach to ministry has drawn both praise and criticism. Under his leadership, New Light has expanded through aggressive marketing, including TV broadcasts, social media, and online campaigns. The church boasts modern facilities equipped with top-tier technology, elegant design, and comfortable accommodations for guests. Supporters applaud this approach, claiming that it reflects excellence and innovation. They argue that churches must evolve with the times and embrace technology to remain relevant and accessible. In their view, the quality of a worship space speaks to the church's respect for God and the experience of its members. But critics see something else. To them, the sleek branding and focus on expansion are signs that the church is more concerned with image and influence than with discipleship. They worry that spiritual depth is being sacrificed for entertainment value, and that the true purpose of the church is being lost in the process. Bishop Hilliard's close relationships with other prosperity gospel leaders like Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar, and Joel Osteen have further fueled the debate. Together, these figures form a powerful network that has been criticized for promoting a version of Christianity that celebrates wealth as a sign of divine favor. Critics argue that such alliances reinforce a theology that glosses over the realities of poverty, inequality, and suffering, offering overly simplistic solutions to deeply complex problems. They also worry that this movement encourages believers to focus inward on personal gain rather than outward on compassion, justice, and service. Still, many defend these leaders, claiming they are teaching timeless biblical principles in a modern context. They point to the charitable efforts their ministries support, feeding the poor, responding to disasters, and funding scholarships, as evidence that the prosperity gospel can be both spiritually enriching and practically impactful. The legacy of Bishop Hilliard is one marked by deep devotion, visionary growth, and persistent controversy. While many view him as a trailblazer who brought faith into the modern age, others see his ministry as a cautionary tale about wealth, power, and the importance of accountability in spiritual leadership. As conversations about prosperity, faith, and financial ethics continue to evolve, Hilliard remains a central and polarizing figure in the world of contemporary Christianity.